people into the United States illegally. Go back to your country, and if you want to, apply for citizenship like millions of others are doing. President Trump and the White House are weighing an executive action and regulatory change to block a caravan from Central American migrants who are trying to enter the United States illegally, according to the administration official and 3 others familiar with President Trump's move. Under this plan, President Trump and his administration would publish fast-track regulation that would restrict certain migrants' ability to seek asylum. The regulation would be paired with a related proclamation from President Trump. The executive actions would follow the playbook of President Trump's most sensational immigration moves and test the bounds of public approval and legality, according to those familiar with it. President Trump has fumed publicly and privately in recent days about caravans and the migrants traveling north through Mexico, and challenges aides to find a solution. This intense focus on immigration comes less than 2 weeks from the midterms. Democrats are favored to regain control of the House, supposedly, but Republicans hope to retain competitive seats by digging in on core issues. This administration is considering a wide range of administrative, legal, and legislative options to address the Democratic-created crisis of mass illegal migration. At this point, no decisions have been made at this time, nor will we forecast to smugglers or caravans what precise strategies will or will not be deployed by the president.
In the Oval Office this afternoon, President Trump doubled down on his assertion that there are Middle Easterners, even possible terrorists, among the thousands of people in the caravan headed for the United States.
I have very good information.
President Trump has suggested that the Democrats are behind the caravan, but a former leftist politician in Honduras, Bartolo Fuentes, has claimed he was behind the exodus. Today, the vice president backed up Fuentes' claim and also pointed fingers at Venezuela.
President of Honduras, when this caravan was initiated, he told me that it had been organized by leftist groups in Honduras that were being financed in part by Venezuela.
At the pace it's moving, the caravan is more than 40 days away from the United States. But Americans are just 14 days away from going to the polls. President Trump has made the caravan and illegal immigration a centerpiece of his campaign rallies, like this huge event in Houston last night.
That is an assault on our country. That's an assault.
The Secretary of State today said the caravan's journey will be futile.
You will not be successful at getting into the United States illegally, no matter what. I repeat, the caravan will not cross our southern border illegally under any circumstances.
The president is placing blame for the caravan and illegal immigration in general at the foot of the Democratic Party. Democrats want no part of the immigration battle, hoping to change the subject in the next 2 weeks to issues they think they can win on, like health care. President Trump is also sweetening the midterm pot with a promise of a tax cut if Republicans keep control of Congress. This one aimed solely at the middle class.
It's going to be a tax reduction of 10% for the middle class. Business will not enter into it. And this will be on top of the tax reduction that the middle class has already gotten.
The president today promised to introduce a resolution on a tax cut within the next week, and that the House would get to work on it right after the midterms. But if Democrats take control, as expected, the plan would likely go nowhere in a lame duck session.
We're not supposed to use that word. You know what I am? I'm a nationalist, okay? I'm a nationalist.
President Trump also raised some eyebrows at his Texas rally last night, declaring himself to be a nationalist. While the word is often associated with extreme right-wing groups, the president says he is merely putting the interests of the United States and its citizens first, particularly on issues like trade.
I am a nationalist. It's a word that hasn't been used too much. We have to take care of our country. We cannot continue to allow ourselves to be duped on military and also duped on trade.
Back on to immigration, the Department of Homeland Security today announced immigration numbers for the month of September. In September, more than 41,000 illegal immigrants were apprehended on the southern border. That brought the yearly total for fiscal year 2018 to nearly 400,000, which is a 30% increase over the previous year.
I think millions of Americans know we've got a crisis at our southern border. But this caravan that was organized by leftist organizations in Honduras, it made its way through Guatemala, now thousands of people trying to come up the 1,000-mile journey through Mexico for the purpose of violating our laws and coming into this country illegally is just unacceptable. The President and I have made it clear we will not allow it. And we're going to take steps necessary to secure our border, enforce our laws, and our message to those in the caravan is return home. But our message to the American people is this caravan is a reminder of a crisis in illegal immigration that is driven by laws that human traffickers actually use to entice people to make the long and dangerous journey north.
You mentioned at the rally as well tonight that these human traffickers and leftist leaders are exploiting loopholes in our laws.
They are.
If the Republican majorities in Congress haven't made the changes to the laws in the last 2 years, what's the pitch to tell voters that you can trust them to do it in the next 2 years?
Well, the message to voters is we've been blocked by liberals in the United States Senate who've stood in the way of immigration reform. That 60-vote margin that the president talks about all the time has prevented us from really taking up this issue. I mean, Democrats are opposed to building a wall. They're opposed to securing the border. There are leading voices in the Democratic Party that actually want to abolish immigrations and customs enforcement. What President Trump and I know is that what the answer to this crisis on our southern border is a wall, it's security, it's supporting the courageous men and women who enforce our laws along the border and throughout our country every day. But it's also changing the laws, ending catch and release, ending the very loopholes that human traffickers exploit every day to entice vulnerable families to make their way north.
And could you tell me a little bit more about the phone call that you had with the president of Honduras who told you about the origins of this caravan, possibly in Venezuela?
Well, we heard the caravan was forming in Honduras, Peter, and President Trump directed me to call leaders in Central America and tell them about his concern and his desire to see them take action to prevent this caravan from marching north. And what the president of Honduras told me is that the caravan was organized by leftist organizations, political activists within Honduras, and he said it was being funded by outside groups and even from Venezuela. And so the American people, I think see through this. They understand this is not a spontaneous caravan of vulnerable people, but it was organized by human traffickers and leftist groups that are, in effect, taking vulnerable people, many elderly, families, children, and marching them north without regard to their safety to make a political point and challenge the sovereignty and the territory of the United States.
The vice president stressed to me tonight the migrants in the caravan are not welcome in this country, so he thinks the focus should instead become improving conditions in Central America so people don't want to flee.